Today's sweater says Meowie Christmas on it and has a fluffy white cat with a Santa hat on it. So cute. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and this is going to be the end of the year tag created by Kira the Scrivener, and I will also be sharing with you the stats that I keep track of for my reading throughout the year at the end. So question 1 is, how would you describe your reading year? Maybe with an adjective. And I would say I had a good time. I had a couple of reading slumps, but I also had times when I was reading really fast and really enjoying everything that I was reading, and times when I was reading slow and enjoying every time that I was reading. And I explored a lot of new worlds and also learned a lot about other people's experiences, and I really enjoyed my time this year. Number 2, what are 2 phases or authors that you went through this year? And early on in the year, it was kind of a phase, but I was also doing it for a readathon. I read a lot of black romances in February for the blackathon, and that spilled over a little bit into March, and I had a really fun time with that. I discovered several new authors that I'm going to follow into the future and also read the backlog of. Yeah, it was a good excuse because I think it was a competitive readathon to like read just a ton of romances in a row, so that was really fun. And then in like August through middle of October, I read a bunch of monster romances because a lot of those were available on Kindle Unlimited, and were indie authors, so I like indie authors. I subscribed to Kindle Unlimited to get a hold of a few books that I wanted, and then there were all these monster romances and I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I enjoyed, I would say 75% of them. There were 25% that were like, not for me, but a lot of them were really quite enjoyable, so that was fun. 3, what is a book that you regret not reading this year? And I don't think I'm going to get to Wings of Ebony this year. I bought this 3 or 4 months ago and it sounds really good, but I have a terrible time reading books that I own instead of books that are from the library, so it kept getting pushed back and like it didn't fit into any of the readathons that I was doing. So hopefully early next year, because I actually don't have anything requested from the library for January. Sometimes I request things several months out and have like a full docket, but right now I have a bit of a dearth, so hopefully I'll actually get around to that early next year. What did you learn from books this year? Something like that. I have paraphrased versions that are shorter written in my notebook of what the questions are. And I read several books, both fictional and a couple, and at least one nonfiction, set in Nigeria this year. Some were set in current day Nigeria, at least one was set in future dystopian Nigeria, and some were written by Nigerians who live there currently, some were written by the Nigerian diaspora. One was a book on feminism that is specifically written from the point of view of how women grow up in Nigeria. So I feel like I got a lot of perspectives on what the culture is currently like and what it's been like in the past, how people who are from there or who had parents from there feel about it. If you want to know which books those were, I will try to remember subtitling me. Go get the list and put it in the description. Number 5, what is a book you wish you talked about more? And right at the beginning of the year, I read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, and I think I've talked about it in at least one tag since then, but I feel like every book that I read and voted for in the Goodreads Choice Awards that was by a BIPOC author, I wish that I could have personally advocated it to the point where it would have won. Because yeah, there were several nominated, like Onyeka and The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea and Daughter of the Moon Goddess and a few others, I think, that were nominated but that didn't win because popularity contests and white books are promoted way more. So yeah, I wish I could have personally skyrocketed that book to winning the Goodreads Choice Awards, but oh well. But yeah, also since it was so far at the beginning of the year, sometimes I forget about it when I'm talking about groups of books, so I would like to talk about that a little bit more. Number 6, what is a non-bookish highlight of the year? And there was a new Dragon Prince season, which I think there has been every year for the past 3 or 4 years and is supposed to continue in till the 7th season. So that's kind of an every year thing, but I really enjoyed it, and I need to rewatch the first 3 seasons because those were also very good. And this season is more set up for the new arc, whereas the last 3 seasons were one arc unto themselves. But yeah, I'm really enjoying what's been going on with our characters so far, and like how they've grown in the time gap between arcs. So yeah, I highly recommend The Dragon Prince on Netflix. And then as a non-media type thing, I've started crocheting again this year, and I hadn't done that for like 3 or 4 years, and I'm really enjoying it. So that's also a highlight. Number 7, what book is an outlier for you this year? And there are a few genres that I don't read much of. Anything that's really dark, basically. And this year I read It Would Be Night in Caracas, which has a lot of dark stuff based in reality of stuff that goes on in Venezuela. It's set in Venezuela, I'm pretty sure by a Venezuelan author who now lives elsewhere. Yeah, civil war and corrupt government and chaos and violence and very bad stuff. So that's not in my usual, but I would like to know more about Venezuela, so that's why I read it, and I feel like I do know more now that I have read it. Number 8, what are you excited to revisit? And I am excited to reread some of the Dragon in a Bag series that I read pretty close to the beginning of the year, when the new book comes out. I'm not sure when the new one is coming out, but I know the last one ended on a cliffhanger, so the new one better come out soon. But yeah, I'm really excited to get back into that world. It was very cool. I really enjoyed a lot of the characters and the world building. While the train is passing by and ruining my audio, I'll just text my dad to go get my meds. Okay, so what is a video that you are most proud of for this year? And fairly recently I did my Autistic Woman Recommends Autistic Books video that I've been waiting a long time to make till I had enough book recs for it, and I'm proud of that one. And I also made a tag this year of the Witchy Books tag. I really like when I do collections of recommendations that I've like stored up over the years along a theme. Those are fun, and I can't remember the other one, but I will link them below. Most of the ones that I'm proud of had a fairly good reception, so that's always nice. So number 10 is, what is your favorite last line of a book? And I don't have a lot of books that I read this year available to check what the last line was, and not because I was looking over my Goodreads little pictures, and not a lot of the last line seemed very memorable, but I checked, and Rust in the Root has a nice last line, and Loveless has a really nice last line. It has a really nice epilogue entirely, but yeah, the last line is nice. And then number 11, the bonus question, is to shout out any creators. One creator I've really been enjoying lately is Princess from what's the name? Castle Library. Her TBR videos are really fun, and I've just had a lot of fun watching. Oh, and Reads with Rachel has been doing a series of authors behaving badly, and also is reviewing a fair number of indie books, and I really like those. They're fun to listen to while I crochet or something. They're just a lot of ranting and really interesting and well-researched commentary. And now it's time for my stats. So far this year I've read 204 books. We're very close to the end, so I might get to 210, but I had 103 5 stars and 67 4 stars, which together makes up 85% of my reads. So I've been good at picking reads that I will enjoy and DNFing and not bothering to review ones that I won't. I read 116 books by BIPOC authors, which is 56%. So I'm happy with that. That's even a little bit higher than it was in the first half of the year when I last rounded up my stats. But things did not go so well in other quarters. I read a total of 16 books by disabled authors, which is only 7%, and I think I had it up to 9% in the first half. And then I read 25 queer books, which is only 12%, and I think it was 13% in the first half of the year. So, and I thought that I was improving in both of those areas, so apparently I am not a very good judge when I'm not actually counting them up of whether I'm getting better numbers in those areas or not. But I do have a lot of queer books slated for the second half of December, so maybe that percentage will improve a little bit, but it's not going to make a big dent. And I don't have very many disabled authors slated for the last half, so that will probably stay about the same. So hopefully next year I will get that up a little bit higher, at least to 10%. I'd like to end up about 20% because that is what the disabled population in America is. And I would also like to read more queer books, especially because I am myself asexual. So that is how the year has gone for me. I'd love to know how the year has gone for you, and if you will be doing this tag. I tag anyone who would like to do it. This is a very generic thing that anybody might like to do. Thank you, Kier, for creating this tag. I think it's a really nice structured way to talk about wrapping up the year. And if you'd like to leave an emoji, how about a snowflake? And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!